Hi, everybody. Welcome to our land acknowledgement workshop. I am so excited to be here with you today, friends. My name is Miss Mal, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about land acknowledgements. So, you might see that there's some pictures here up on your screen that tell you a little bit, maybe, about what we're going to be talking about. So, what are some things you see on the screen? Yeah, maybe see some water. Yep, we can see that the colors are changing, right? Because when you're on the land, nothing ever stays the same. Things are always changing. So, today, my friends, I hope you're ready to maybe learn and grow with me as I talk to you today about land acknowledgements. Are you ready? All right. Well, today I'm going to be talking to you about a big word, and we need to kind of discuss what that word might mean to us. So, how many of my friends have ever heard the word indigenous? That's awesome. A lot of us have. Wow. Okay. Do we know maybe some ideas about what the word indigenous means? That's right. It does. It means the first people here, right, of Canada. Now, are indigenous people from a long, long time ago? Yes, they are. Now, do we still have indigenous people here today in Canada? Yeah. Are any of my friends indigenous? Okay. Miss Mel is indigenous. Okay. So it's really important to know that indigenous people, although they were the first people of Canada, they're still here today. And they look like you and me, right? They drive cars, they might live in houses or apartments. Okay, they might have pets like you and me. Okay, now there are different nations of indigenous people, and today I'm going to be talking to you about one group in particular. And that group is super special because you know what, friends? They're from the Ottawa area. How many of you have ever heard the word Algonquin before? Good. Maybe some of you have grown-ups that work at Algonquin College, or maybe that went to Algonquin College, and that's a big school for grown-ups in Ottawa. Okay. Maybe some of my friends have even been to Algonquin Park. And that is a beautiful area. Maybe you've been able to go and enjoy the water and camp on the land and see all of the beautiful animals. Now, if you haven't been to either of those places, guess what? If you're here at school today, you are still on Algonquin land. Now, let's take a look outside. What are some of the things you see? Isn't the Algonquin land a beautiful place to be? Now, I myself, okay, told you that I was Indigenous. Okay, I am Indigenous and I am First Nation. Okay, if you look at the picture here that's on your screen, okay, maybe you notice that we have someone right here in the middle. And up at the top, we have the word ancestors. Now, if you look at all of these cool pictures up here, you might notice that maybe ancestors means people who come before you. They might be older than you, like your grandparents, maybe your great great grandparents, maybe your great 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 grandparents are your ancestors. So if we look at the person in the middle, that represents you, my friends. Okay, or Miss Mel. Okay, and I can look here, I can see this would be my mom and this would be my dad. Now, for Miss Mel, if I look up here, I am Ojibwe. Okay, all the way up to time immemorial, the beginning of time. But if I go here, here's Miss Mel, and I go here on my dad's side, okay, all the way up here, and somewhere right up here, my family came to Canada long ago, okay, and settled here from Germany. Okay, so that's what I know about my ancestry. Now, you friends could be from many different places. I know when I go visit some friends at schools, they tell me they're from places like Brazil, they're from places like Italy, They're from places like Halifax. Some friends are just like me, and they are First Nations. So, why don't you take a moment to tell your friends around you and maybe your teacher a little bit about yourself and where your ancestors are from? Okay, this would be a perfect time to pause if you're watching this and have that discussion with your friends in your class. Okay, maybe you want to even think maybe we could have a map in our class that shows where all our ancestors come from and all the rich culture that we bring to our classroom. Wouldn't that be cool to look at? Okay. Okay, well, long time ago, maybe some of you, maybe even this year, at some point, our ancestors came to Canada. Now, remember how I said Indigenous people have been here since time immemorial? That's a long time ago, my friends. That's the beginning of time. Now, at that time, we didn't call Canada Canada. We called it, and if you're looking at the screen, I bet you can guess. That's right, Turtle Island. And Turtle Island was a beautiful place because just like Canada is now, I bet a lot of people love it here. Take a moment and why don't you look at the pictures on the screen? Hey, why don't you chat with some friends around you and see if you can make any connections between this turtle here, okay, and the map over here. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can just X myself so that you can see this map. This would be a good time to chat with your class about what are some things that you are seeing. Hey, how many of my friends could see that we have some things in common? I bet you are so clever, right, friends? So, yeah, see this little flipper of the turtle? Hey, how many of you saw that that was Alaska? Okay, or part of the USA. All of these yellow areas are the USA. Now, some of you maybe saw, oh, I know this. This looks like the turtle's head. And if I look over here, I can see it here too. And look at that. It's none of it. None of it is the turtle's head. Now, as you go along and you identify parts of the turtle with your friends and your teacher, you might start to recognize that Turtle Island, that the Indigenous people called Canada since the beginning of time, stretched all the way to the top of Canada in North America to the bottom of Central America. Now, isn't that really cool, friends? Yeah, it's amazing. Now, another reason why we call it Turtle Island is because one of our creation stories that's been told to me stems from a long time ago. And since I have your attention, maybe I can tell you a story from my Anishinaabe culture. So, a long time ago, before we knew Canada as Canada, or even Turtle Island as Turtle Island, we believed there was a sky world above and a water world below. Now, up above in Sky World lived Sky Woman. And just like your mom's at some point, she was pregnant and expecting new life. Now, I've been pregnant before, and I know when I was expecting new life, I was hungry. Now, since this was the beginning of time, Sky Woman didn't have things like McDonald's or Dairy Queen to go get her ice cream. But what she did have was this beautiful tree. And beneath this beautiful tree, by the roots, sprung delicious nutrients. Sky Woman was craving those nutrients so her baby could grow nice and strong. So she started to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. Now, friends, imagine Sky Woman. She's digging in the clouds. What's going to happen? You are clever. You guessed it. Sky Woman, as she's digging, for those nutrients, she falls through the hole she had dug in the sky around her. Now, don't worry too much, friends, because lucky for Sky Woman, the birds from below saw her falling and thought, oh, we must help her. So they flew up and gently grasped Sky Woman so that she wouldn't fall really fast from the sky. Now, Sky Woman was pregnant and Sky Woman was falling, and these birds could only hold her for so long. Again, lucky for Sky Woman, the other animals saw that they could help her too. Out from the water arose a curious creature, and he popped his shell up so Sky Woman could gently land on his back. What animal do you think that was, friends? That's right. It was turtle. Now, I don't know about you, but a turtle is not someplace I could live forever. So, although Sky Woman was very grateful to Turtle for offering his back to carry her and to help her, she still needed more help. Who could help? You bet. Other animals came to help Sky Woman. So many helped, but there was one thing that she needed most importantly. Sky Woman had all the water she needed to live, and Sky Woman had all of the light she needed to live. But she was missing one secret ingredient. Can you guess what that was, friends? You got it. It's land. Sky Woman needed land to grow things like food and nutrients for herself and her life that she was expecting. Well, here comes a special animal. How many of you, my friends, have heard of the mighty muskrat before? Okay, a muskrat is like a beaver and a rat making a baby. Okay, it's kind of a cute but funny looking animal that has brown, soft fur like a beaver, but he doesn't have the same teeth that might be able to chop down trees. Okay, and build cool dams. He doesn't have a big flat tail that can splash in the water. His tail is more like a rat. He's a pretty unassuming animal. He's not as big as a beaver. He's quite small. So even though he was small, Muskrat thought he could help Sky Woman. So he offered his help. He said, Sky Woman, why don't I help you? I'm a really good swimmer and I feel like I could get to the bottom of the water and get some soil to help grow some seeds and some trees and some plants to eat. Can you, friends, help me out? Okay. I'm going to need you to stand up. Okay. So we're going to get up from our chairs and I want you to pretend to be Muskrat. And on the count of three, what I'm going to need you to do is take a great big breath and we're going to dive down deep and get some soil to help Sky Woman. Okay. Do you think you can help me out? All right, so let's make sure we have enough space between our fronts and let's get our hands up over our head so that we're ready to dive down deep. Okay, now when I ask you to breathe, I want you to breathe nice and big. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And you're the little muskrat. And you're diving down to the bottom of the water, and you're swimming and you're swimming and you're swimming. Oh, there's the soil. I want you to grab the soil in your hand and grab the soil, and you're going to push your little muskrat feet off of the ocean floor and push up. Take a breath, friends. Take a breath. Muskrat is still going up. Okay, the momentum from the ground pushes muskrat up to the surface of the water. And Sky Woman sees Muskrat's hand pop up. Now, Sky Woman peels back each little muskrat finger, one at a time, until all 5 are pulled back. In the base of your little muskrat hand lies the beautiful soil that Sky Woman will pack onto Turtle's back, and it will grow and become what we know as Turtle Island. So not only, okay, do we think of Turtle Island maybe because it looks like a turtle, but mostly for that creation story that I was so happy to share with you today. Now, I want to go back to Turtle Island and talk to you a little bit about other visitors that came over. So remember how we were talking about our ancestors and how I told you my mom, she's Ojibwe and we've been here since time immemorial, but on my dad's side, we're from Germany. Okay, and we came over a long time ago. Well, even before that, in the 1500s, friends, a long, long time ago, we had some settlers, some visitors come over to Turtle Island. And when they came over, they hit the jackpot. They really liked what they saw. How many of you, my friends, love living in Canada? Right? This would be a really good time to maybe pause and chat about why you love Canada so much. Okay? So I'll take a moment and let you guys do that. Okay. I bet some of the reasons why you love Canada so much involved maybe hockey, playing outside, hide and seek with our friends, maybe walking our animals. Maybe you really love swimming or going to your cottage or skipping rope outside. There's so many beautiful things about Canada that we have 4 seasons that maybe you love that people are so kind. Okay. And just like you, all of those reasons are fantastic reasons that make Canada so wonderful. And these settlers, these visitors that came over on their boats, they liked Canada for those same reasons. When they came over, they loved the animals. So just like the animals helped Sky Woman, the animals helped the settlers. Okay. Animals like the beaver were super useful because their furs could be used for trading. Okay, could be used to help keep warm. Just like you, friends, who really liked Canada for the land, for all the things that we can do here. Okay, the settlers like that too. They could use the land to build homes, to have their families from far away come over and build more homes, and then whole neighborhoods and whole cities like Ottawa. Okay, and just like you, friends, our settlers and visitors came over, they really like the rocks and minerals. It's like a treasure trove here in Canada. You can find things like gold and amethyst and nickel and oil. So when they came over, they really liked it. Friends, they liked it so much that they made some promises. Okay, some promises called treaties that in exchange for the land, these settlers would care for the indigenous people. They would care by giving them health care, making sure they have clean water. They had places to live. They had food to hunt. There were lots of different arrangements that they made. Some other places, though, places like Ottawa, there were no deals made for the land. Okay. So, what happened was these settlers, these visitors came over, okay, to the area of Ottawa where the Algonquin people lived. Okay. Now, I want you to imagine these visitors coming over to the Algonquin house and maybe they knock on the door. Maybe when you go over to a company's house, you knock on the door first. Right? Then your host will open it up, probably welcome you in. The indigenous people welcomed in their new visitors. They showed them around. They showed them how to move around the land because it would have been so big, easy to get lost. They showed them where they could find food. They helped them find medicine and help them a lot. And at first it was really good. So the visitors wanted to stay. Wouldn't you want to stay in someone's house if they cared for you and you had everything you could ever use? Right? Well, just like you, they wanted to stay and they stayed and they stayed and they liked it so much that they invited their friends and their families over to your house. And then it became tight and there wasn't enough room for everybody. So instead of our visitors leaving that house, they asked the Algonquin people to leave the house. Okay. And the Algonquin people had to go to different homes on reserves. And then the settlers got the Algonquin land. Now, that land we live on today is Ottawa. Okay. And now, maybe when you were talking about where you were from, Okay, a little while ago, maybe you noticed that not a lot of our friends are maybe Algonquin. Okay, and you'd think, wow, we're in their home, right? Where are all the Algonquin people? Where did they go? Well, what happened long ago was the visitors came over and they moved the Algonquin people out of the house or out of the Ottawa area. So while we still have some Algonquin people that might live here, okay, we are occupying. If you are not Algonquin, right? Even me, I'm Indigenous, but I am not Algonquin. Okay, we are here in Ottawa, so we are visitors. And if we're visitors here at someone else's home, we have responsibilities, right? So, what a land acknowledgement is, it's acknowledging or saying what we know is true. And I hope, friends, today that you've come to understand with Miss Mel, okay, that the Algonquin people are the first peoples to Ottawa. And maybe you can see that if you're looking at the screen right now. Maybe you can see Turtle Island here. This represents the Algonquin people. Maybe you've seen this building because it's in Ottawa, friends. This is our Parliament building. Okay? Because our government, our schools, our homes are built on Algonquin land. So we have to say that and we need to remember that. And because we're visitors here, we have to take care of the land, just like the Algonquin people would. Just like the animals helped Sky Woman, and they were very kind and very caring, the Algonquin people would treat the land in the same way. And since we're here as visitors on the land, we need to keep those responsibilities in our minds and in our hearts. Okay, so what we're going to do together, friends, I hope you're ready. We're going to stand up and we're going to do some actions to our land acknowledgement. Okay, so if you can stand up, the first thing I'm going to get you to do, friends, is we're going to do a little repetition. Okay, so I would pause this if you needed to stand up, give yourselves a moment, and then you can start it again. And what I would do is I would get my friends to repeat chunks of the land acknowledgement after me. And then together in our classrooms, we would think of actions that we as a community feel like suit our land acknowledgement. Now, how about, friends? I'll do the first slide with you to get you started, and then you can do this with your class. Sound good? All right, so repeat after me. We know this is the land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Okay, we're going to try it one more time, friends. We know this is the land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Beautiful job, friends. All right, so now we get the fun job of putting some actions together. So I like to start with the word we, and we'll do it word by word. And a lot of times when I'm in classes, friends tell me that they like to do this, like we, like gesturing to everybody. So that seems to be a good one. So how about we do we? Everyone, can you do that? We. Now, where do we do our knowing? Where do you do all your thinking, friends? Can you point to that part? Just joking. Right. I bet a lot of you pointed here. So how about we do we know? Okay. Everybody with me? We know. Now it says, this is the land. Where's the land, friends? You're right. The land is down there. So, how about you guys can decide as a class, would you like to point to the ground? Or maybe you'd like to actually go down and touch the ground in your class. Okay, so you decide what you'd like to do. And for this is the land, I want you to either point down to the ground or you can bend down and touch the land. So it's going to go like this. We know this is the land. Okay, you're either on the ground touching it with your hands or you just pointed down. This is the land. Now, what's really important is when we do actions to represent people, we need to be very careful because not all people are the same. So, not all actions work for all people. But I thought I could help you out because although I'm not Algonquin, I am Anishinaabe. And I know that my Anishinaabe people from a long time ago, when Turtle Island was Turtle Island, we didn't have cars. We didn't have jets to take us anywhere. We did a lot of walking. And we followed the animals and followed nature. So maybe we could do some walking when we're talking about the Algonquin people. I also can share with you that 4 is a really important number in Anishinaabe culture. So maybe when we're talking about the Anishinaabe Algonquin people, we could do 4 steps. Okay, so I'll show you what it'll look like. Okay, we know this is the land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Okay, do you want to try that together? Awesome. Let's do it together, friends. 1, 2, 3. We know this is the land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Okay. Good job. You guys are awesome rock stars. Okay. Now, look at this. This slide here, you might have already seen it. It starts the same way. So maybe many of you, as you continue to develop your actions with your friends in your class and your teachers, maybe you want to do the same gesture. So we know. Now, for these slides, I'm just going to read them with you. You can pause the video for each slide and again discuss with your friends about what actions you want to do. I can give you some ideas and you can decide as a group. Okay, so on this slide, I'll just get you to repeat after me and then you can pause it and think of the actions. Okay, so we know, repeat, we know. Good. Promises were made called treaties. Remember? And that was the promise I told you that they were making deals for the land. Remember that for the land, they'd give things like education and health care. Okay. So good job. You can think about what action you do for promises. And maybe you do the same action for the whole thing, or you think of other one for the word treaty. Okay. So I'm going to go to the next slide. We'll just repeat it. Some ideas for promises. I've seen some friends do like little pinky promises. I've seen other friends shake a friend's hand because they're making a promise, or give a high five or a little elbow. It's up to you what you'd like to do. Okay. The next slide. Okay. Then, through broken promises, land was taken. So, again, you're going to repeat after me. Then you'll pause it and think of actions to do. I'll give you some pointers and then think of actions that you'd like to do as a class. Okay. So then, through broken promises, land was taken. Good. So, some ideas. Sometimes what I've seen friends do if they were shaking hands with a friend from before, when you're talking about promises and treaties, for this one, maybe they let go of that friend's hand so because the promises gets broken. And then for land was taken, they do an action to show taking the land. Other friends, I've seen them just doing pinky promises with themselves. And then for this slide, they break that promise, which I know, friends, it's so sad because we know that our word needs to be honored, right? We have to say truthful things. And if we make a promise to a friend, we need to keep that promise and do our best, right? Okay, so you can think about actions to do. Now, this is a nice part, and I think a lot of my friends really enjoy doing this because this is the part where I get to teach you a new word. Okay, so the new word I'd like to teach you is miigwech. Can you say miigwech? Miigwech. Perfect. And that is Anishinaabemowin for thank you. Okay. So part of your land acknowledgement, and this part you get to think about your own ideas. Okay. This part is all about saying thank you. So every day it's good to be thankful. and to acknowledge all of the wonderful things that Creator has given us. Maybe today, when you looked outside, it was a sunny day and you were so thankful for the sun. Maybe it's a rainy day, and although maybe you're inside for recess, you're so happy that the earth is getting the water it needs. Or maybe you love to jump in puddles, okay? Or maybe you love indoor recess, right? It's a win-win-win, okay? But we say miigwech for something about the day. And every day, I want you to think about, what am I thankful for today? Then you could say miigwech to the water, okay? Think about it, my friends. Why are you so grateful for the water? What does the water do for you? We say miigwech to the land that feeds our bellies. And maybe you can, pause it for each slide with your friends, and you can talk about some of the pictures you see that you're so grateful for. You could look at some of the pictures here. Like maybe you're thankful for the flowers, like that beautiful sunflower. Maybe you're thankful for a pumpkin that you got to carve for Halloween, or those tomatoes that were on that pizza and that lovely sauce, right? Or maybe you played in the land, in the soil, and you just loved it. Or maybe it's winter time, right? And you're just thankful that right now the plants are sleeping and getting ready for the spring, and they all pop out through the ground. Okay. We say miigwech to the animals, the birds, and the fish. And maybe look at all these cool animals. Maybe you have a pet at home that you're just so thankful for, right? You can talk about these things with your friends and pause this video anytime. Okay. Now it's time, as part of our land acknowledgement, that we need to remember that part of our acknowledgement is working together, that we have to have relationships with all of our friends and with the Indigenous community, especially Algonquin people, right? We're on their land and their home. So we need to work together and learn from the Indigenous people, then the truth about the land and from each other. So I really want to say miigwech, my friends, for taking the time to learn with me and be a part of this lesson today. There's some more information on this slide deck that your teacher can go through. We have lots of information and resources on the OCSB Indigenous Ed website, which you can access through OCSB Central. And then you go to the Learning Hub, and we will be the third little icon there. My friends, thank you so much for being good listeners. I hope today that you learned something about the Algonquin people, about the land, and about how we all have responsibilities to make sure we care for it. Okay? Miigwech, and have a great day. Bye-bye.